How's it going, old schoolers? You are kicking it old school with Russell J.S., and I am your host, Russell J.S. This is part three of Retro Vacation, the 1990s. I had to do 1990s because there was a lot of things that happened in that decade. The opening of Universal Studios Florida, which I went to that summer with my mom, and you knew anybody that was a kid back then, you heard the story about how Back to the Future, the ride was going to open within the next year. And also, a lot of the main attractions, main rides were kept on breaking down, which was Jaws, Earthquake, and King Kong, which Jaws would not open for yet another couple years. But, I remember when I went, I was, me and my mom probably were there for about half the day. The only thing we did do was watch the stunt show for Earthquake, and we saw the Ghostbusters Spooktacular show, and we just explored this new park. But since it's the 1990s, there were things that I had like Tiger handheld games and Game Boy. Now, I still at that moment couldn't bring my Nintendo to play in the hotel because my mother said, "Oh no, you're going to be too busy to play video games or watch movies." But you know what? I'm going to be using some of the technology we didn't have back then. Where, well, let's put it this way, stuff like DVDs were yet to be invented, DVD players and all and such. But for a travel carry on bag, I'm going to show you how I would pack it to be in a 90s mindset. Remember, if you're new to the channel, hit a like, subscribe, leave comments in the box down below. I was going to do this video early on, but I got so busy and wrapped up with a lot of things. And it is very late. I mean, I got to wake up about 5 in the morning to go to work, and then I got to leave work to go to work again. But I want to show you where we're at for our mystery ride. Look at that. See, I got the 28th marked. And then after July, all we'll have left, we're going to have about a month and a half till we go on our mystery ride. Now, remember, you don't even know where I'm taking you. I'm leaving it as a surprise when we get there. I'm looking forward to making the videos. It's going to be a mini series kind of thing. But when we get there, you're going to be, oh, I'm going to be like, surprise. And it's going to be in Florida, so you never know where I'm going to take you. I might take you to South Beach, Miami Beach, Daytona Beach, Disney World, Universal SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, Adventure Island. I may even take the long haul up I-75 to Atlanta, Georgia, and take you to Six Flags. You never know. But let me show you what 90s stuff I would pack, okay, for the trip, for the carry-on, for my carry-on bag on the plane or car, however I'm going to be taking. First, with it being 90s, appropriately, I've got a portable CD player. I'm going to be bringing music and movies. Let me zip that back up and let me show you. I've added some more stuff to the carry-on bag. More pins. See, you got Misfits there. You got Van Halen, AC/DC. Old school Universal Studios Florida with Ghostbusters. Tim Burton's Batman with Michael Keaton. And, of course, Ace Frehley. And let me show you what I would pack for this being the 90s. Now, the 1990s, it was a pretty interesting decade. I mean, like any other decade, like the 80s before it and the 70s, we did say goodbye to some, talent. We said goodbye to River Phoenix. We said goodbye to John Candy, Kurt Cobain. And, some of you were fans. We said goodbye to Tupac and Biggie Smalls, Phil Hartman. And I did mention Chris Farley, but forget about the sad part. Let's talk about the fun we had. Now, with modern technology that I'll be using for my entertainment, as always, I got my portable Blu-ray player down in there. And the also ready for the bad Oscar, we got to go with the movies. Being that this is going to be actually 1990 to 1994, I have gone ahead and I have selected the movies that I would bring. Without further ado, let's check all, and the music as well is over there. Without further ado, let's check out the bad Oscars, shall we? Okay, since we're going the early 1990s, for a little bit of TV, I figure Beavis and Butthead, the Mike Judge collection. So that'll go right in this second pouch, right there. There we go with that. And I was very selective of what movies were, were the big movies, were the fun movies themed with vacation and adventure for that time. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a fourth part because I got to bring in the mid 1990s and the early 2000s. And now we go into the movies. Well, also more TV. Back to the Future, the animated series, season 1. Gotta go ahead and continue the story of Back to the Future. I'll put that in there with Beavis and Butthead. And then we're gonna go, let's see, again, with it being the beginning. All right. First movie I want to start out with I'm gonna put in there. The original live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Instant classic it became. And I'm going to go ahead and put that with the portable player. Also, for, that's action and adventure. I'm also going to put in for vacationing. What About Bob, starring Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss? And I know what you're all thinking right now. God, does this guy's fandom of Bill Murray ever stop? Well, I gotta say this Lost in Translation was kind of boring. I mean, I will admit I did enjoy seeing some certain scenes with Scarlett Johansson, when she's wearing that red one piece bathing suit and where she's walking around, in her sweater and underwear in her hotel room. And there's some of the serious stuff that he did that I like too, not just the comedy, but we want to go with the comedy, with the fun. And this is about going on vacation and, getting away from your everyday normal life. And of course, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, the two head-banging surfer dude duo. They die and they go through heaven and hell, give the Grim Reaper a wedgie, and he becomes devoted to them. And they do their Battle of the Bands. That was summer of 1991 for you, so we got to add that. And for some more comedy, the original Addams Family movie. I mean, Christopher Lloyd, aka Doc Brown, is Uncle Fester. Raul Julia and Angelica Houston is Gomez and Morticia. And, comedy classic right here. I am a big fan of movies based off old TV shows. So I have to add that. And let's see, what else here? Wayne's World. Wayne's World Party Time, yes. What 90s themed vacation would be complete without Wayne's World, the original classic starring Mike Myers and Dana Carvey? Some of you have not seen this. If you know Mike Myers, you remember if you've seen Austin Powers and the Shrek movies, this was his first movie. You got to check it out. It is a real fun movie. And then after that, yep, not even a dead guy can put a damper on a good time. Weekend at Bernie's 2. Yep, Andrew McCarthy, Jonathan Silverman, and Terry Kaiser are back with Bernie just being stiffer and deader than usual, but bringing those guys on hijinks. And this was actually funnier than the original, I believe. It's one of those rare moments where the sequel was better than the original, and the original was funny as heck. And a lot of people did not care for this. Not even the main actors themselves enjoyed this movie. But I remember being excited when I read about it in a video gaming magazine that they were coming out with it. Originally, Danny DeVito was going to play the lead, but he had committed to playing the Penguin in Batman Returns. So the live action Super Mario Brothers, starring Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo, and Dennis Hopper, that's going to go in here too. And last but not least, sure, it's going to be a trilogy, but we're going to watch only the first movie. It became a landmark in special effects, and it is a favorite of, a lot of the, it is a fan favorite. We got the Jurassic Park trilogy, but to do the early 90s, we can only watch the original one. So there you have the movies that we're going to bring. Now, the music. Oh boy, do I have a selection. See all that? You got Aerosmith, Get a Grip, Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, Black Sabbath, Dehumanizer. I'm going to go a little heavier with the music. And there's going to be some classic rock, and I'll explain why. AC/DC, The Razor's Edge, Metallica, Nirvana, Nevermind, Kiss, Revenge, Pearl Jam, The Doors original motion picture soundtrack. I put some movie soundtracks in there as well of the 90s. Soul Asylum, Grave Dancers Union. I have to have that. Soundtrack to Wayne's World. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Into the Great Wide Open. Tom Petty, Wildflowers. Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, No Quarter, Unleaded. Nirvana, Unplugged in New York. Last Action Hero motion picture soundtrack. Robert Plant, Fate of Nations. Bruce Springsteen, MTV Unplugged. Van Halen for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. Soundtrack album to Clerks. We're going to get into Kevin Smith territory right there. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey soundtrack. Rolling Stones Voodoo Lounge, and Rush Roll the Bones. Now, the reason I have a Doors CD, well, it's actually this motion picture soundtrack to Oliver Stone's film The Doors, starring Val Kilmer and Meg Ryan, where Val Kilmer played Jim Morrison. And what happened was The Doors actually made a comeback with that movie coming out. I mean, us Generation Xers, we saw that movie, us younger version of the Gen Xers, and we instantly got hooked into the Doors. So if we didn't have parents who had a collection of Doors records, we just went for either the best of the Doors or the movie soundtrack to the Doors. And you know what? It's part of the 90s pop culture as it was part of the 60s. And I think in many ways, not just for the Doors, but for a lot of the bands of the classic rock genre, like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Who, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Grateful Dead, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple. It helped a lot of those older bands in the classic rock genre make comebacks. And like a lot of them were doing oldies but goodies tours and still putting out albums. And that movie helped the Doors, it catapulted the Doors to where they got a younger audience. But I know what you're thinking. You're looking at that stack of CDs and you see the backpack there. How am I going to fit all of them in? Well, my old CD wallet as usual. You know, one thing about the 1990s is that decade taught us how to travel organized. And see, there's all the CDs that I pointed out right in here. So that's gonna go. Let's see here. Hold on a sec. Whoop! I dropped you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Now we have it in this pouch right here. And of course, there's going to be handheld video games. Now, my Game Boy, unfortunately, I have to go on eBay to get another so I could have a donor to replace the screen in my original Game Boy. But not only do I have some Tiger remakes, but I also have a couple other handhelds that I'm going to bring that's going to be closest to the Game Boy and to the Sega Genesis or the Game Gear per se. So, handhelds I'm going to bring on this. With it being the 1990s, I'm going to be bringing, I got handhelds like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Jurassic Park. I got this unit right here that I bought for $45 at the mall called Sup. It's a Chinese import that has all the great games in, Nintendo form, including stuff that, only was released overseas in Japan. And I've got my Sega Genesis handheld flashback from At Games. And where I'm going to put them, well, I'll put the Game Boy like right in there. And then the Sega one will go right there. And I got the Tiger handhelds that I'm going to put right in there with the movies. And there you go, your and here we are. You're ready to get on board the airplane with a 90s mindset. Now, I'm looking forward to doing yet another video. And what's going to happen is the next video, like I said, it's going to be themed for the mid 1990s, the early 2000s. And what's going to happen is, we're going to do all the movies from that time and the music and the gaming, whatever have you. And, I'm really having fun making these videos. Right now it's late and I'm kind of tired, but I knew I had to do this video for you. And, I'm getting everything ready for our mystery ride. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I got to make up a list of stuff I'm going to take, as far as snacks, which, by the way, I was noticed by a coworker today that I lost weight, that I'm getting skinnier because, well, I've been drinking a lot of water. I rarely touch soda pop anymore. And I've been drinking, tea, and I've been drinking a lot of water, and I've been eating stuff like sunflower kernels. I've been eating prunes, rice cakes, applesauce snack packs, and trying to stay away from the fast food as humanly possible. But we all get addicted to that now, don't we? But, I'm looking forward to this trip, and it's going to be a reflection of my life and everything. And I'm looking forward to this. I've been dying to do a video like this for some time since I started YouTube. And, well, we're going to have a whole lot of fun. And you're going to be very surprised on where I take you. Like I said, you don't know where I'm taking you. It's a big surprise, and you're going to get excited once you see it. But at any rate, I got to go ahead and get ready for bed because, I got to be up by 5 in the morning. And, I got to drive in the next commute to the next town over, try to beat the traffic. But I'll be making a new video shortly. For the meantime, it's your old pal Russell J.S. Want to wish you all the same. Keep playing Atari and Nintendo. Keep listening to 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s music. Keep watching classic 80s and 90s movies. Be good to one another. Take care of yourself and those you love. And as always, Godspeed. May the force be with you always.